Hi, it's Robert Schwimmer. We are in San Pedro today. The focus of this video is that bridge off in the distance there. Kind of excuse the landscape here. There are not a lot of viewpoints of the bridge because of the expansion of the container ship terminals, both on the mainland and Terminal Island, as well as the cruise ship terminal. So this gives a good vantage point. This suspension bridge is the only one in Greater Los Angeles. And I'm just kind of fascinated by its history because as a kid I grew up spending time in Port Sacal with my family. There was a double-end ferry called the Sierra Nevada, and we'd go there for fish and chips, and there would be this beautiful suspension bridge. Never knew its history. And I also knew of some history of how people during, let's say, the early period of World War II got to and from the island before the bridge. And that was key because this island supported not only a military base, but shipbuilding. And in World War II, of course, there was such a high demand of ships. So we're gonna do a little bit of a dive into that early history and what, replaced that ferry system with what we have today, the Vincent Thomas Bridge. So let's go enjoy, explore a new story. The Vincent Thomas Bridge has been in the news lately with pending plans to replace the bridge's aging and deteriorating deck either in late 2025 or early 2026. Rerouting traffic for the 16-month construction project is under consideration, and Caltrans is asking for public input. But no doubt there will be traffic congestion for commuters and the semi-trucks carrying shipping containers to and from the container ship terminals, both in the Port of Los Angeles and Port of Long Beach. If they go for the full closure, it has been termed Haborgeddon, and Caltrans has suggested preliminary detour routes. The bridge connects San Pedro and Long Beach crossing over the main channel as part of State 47 and has been in existence for 60 years. Traffic traveling south on Interstate 110 and Interstate 710 often utilize the Vincent Thomas Bridge as the main corridor. Average daily traffic on the bridge is 53,000 vehicles per day, with about 9% of that traffic being heavy trucks. The Vincent Thomas Bridge consists of three main spans: the west approach span, the east approach span, and the main span. The longest suspension span measures 1,500 feet in length, with the remaining suspension spans each measuring 506 feet, for a total of 2,513 feet for the bridge main spans. The remaining 3,549 feet consist of the steel girder approach spans for a total bridge length of 6,062 feet. The width of the bridge is 59 feet. It's the only bridge of its kind in the Greater Los Angeles area and first welded suspension bridge in the United States, and it has a clear height of navigation channel of 185 feet. So let's step back in time and learn about the construction of the Vincent Thomas Bridge. Before the development of the Port of Los Angeles and the Port of Long Beach into a world-class container ship terminals, Terminal Island was a major hub for shipbuilding, and workers were shuttled by ferry between the mainland and the island. In 1941, as the United States entered World War II and the demand for shipbuilding exploded, fortunately, that same year a new municipal ferry terminal at Berth 84 was under construction to handle both passenger and vehicles to and from the island. The ferry operated until the Vincent Thomas Bridge was completed. Today, the building is home to the Los Angeles Maritime Museum. There are lots of great exhibits on the local maritime history, but you can also see some of the original ferry hoisting equipment inside the building. Naming of the bridge. After graduating law school, Vincent Thomas went to work for Star-Kissed Tuna as a dock boss. In 1940, he successfully became a California assemblyman where he served for 19 consecutive terms, earning him the nickname Dean of the Assembly. He championed and argued the building of the San Pedro Terminal Island Bridge for 19 years. He had been ridiculed as building a bridge to nowhere. In 1961, the California legislature passed Concurrent Resolution 131, naming the suspension bridge in his honor. Every weekend he returned from Sacramento and checked on the construction of the bridge. For a suspension bridge, one of the most important parts is the cable anchorage, in which the cable is fastened. For the Vincent Thomas Bridge, the anchorages at either end had to be designed to withstand a pull force on the cables of 10,000 tons. To offset these composite forces, the anchorage blocks, weighing 23,000 tons, are set on dozens of steel piles driven diagonally downward in a direction for the resultant force. The first steel for the Vincent Thomas Bridge was erected on January 30th, 1962. In the building of the bridge, riveting was discarded as an outmoded procedure. All field joints are bolted, but the larger size sections were prefabricated by welding at a local plant. This type of construction eliminates much of the tedious labor of building a bridge by riveting it together piece by piece on the site. The first crossing of the bridge were two 1-inch cables that were carried across the channel by boat, then lifted into place. Using these cables as a base, more cables could be pulled into place and the catwalks suspended from them. When the catwalks were in place, actual spinning of the bridge suspension cables could begin. I guess spinning is a misleading term referring to the spinning wheel-like movements of the carrier pulleys rather than a twisting motion. The bridge cables are made of 4,028 lengths of 3/16-inch galvanized wire, which laid parallel to form a cylindrical main cable of 13 5/8 in diameter. The main cable is made up of 19 secondary strands containing 212 wires each. Paving on this type of bridge is not like a typical highway, starting at one end and progressing to the other, as this would pull the suspension span out of balance. To keep everything balanced, a chart was made ahead of time, laying out alternating sections to be paved. This entails doing a section on one end first, then the opposite section on the other end. Next might be a section near the center, followed by its counterpart opposite of it. Two courses of paving are laid. The first comes is the base course of lightweight concrete, then a surface lay of special grout for better wearing. The dedication of the Vincent Thomas Bridge was on September 28, 1963. The event was staged in conjunction with the celebration of the annual Fisherman's Fiesta at the harbor. The 365-foot high steel support towers stood proud over the crowd that came to celebrate the completion of the $22 million bridge. Many community dignitaries were in attendance, including Assemblyman Vincent Thomas. Open for traffic on November 15, 1963. The toll was 25 cents each direction, with the toll plaza being located on Terminal Island side. Assemblyman Thomas paid the first toll. In 1983, the toll increased to 50 cents for westbound traffic, but became free for eastbound traffic. In the year 2000, tolls were eliminated. Well, apparently you can have your cake and eat it too. I really like this photograph of the passenger ship Catalina passing under the bridge, because when I was in high school, I got to sail on the Catalina to and from Catalina Island. Today, the Port of Los Angeles is the busiest container port in North America and has sustained its rank as number one for more than 2 decades, with record volumes of container trade. To the east is the Port of Long Beach. The Vincent Thomas Bridge is a key artery for workers and trucks carrying shipping containers to and from both ports. with the Long Beach International Gateway Bridge on the east side. Even today, improvements continue. Currently under construction is a new westbound off-ramp and a westbound on-ramp for the Vincent Thomas Bridge. I certainly hope you enjoyed this video learning about the different modes of transportation to and from Terminal Island, either by ferry or the construction of the Vincent Thomas Bridge. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It helps my channel. And if you're new to the channel, I hope you consider subscribing, where we explore above and below the sea and from the air. Thank you.